Recently, in North Carolina, a new record was set for the channel catfish. On May 21st of 2023, Justin Hall of Reidsville, North Carolina reeled in a 27-pound, 7-ounce channel catfish from a local farm pond near his home in Rockingham County, North Carolina. It broke the previous record of 26 pounds that was caught in the Neuse River in 2021. As with a lot of records, there is controversy surrounding this fish, and it's not the first time that there has been controversy surrounding the channel catfish in North Carolina, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now, if you're not familiar with channel catfish, they are the third largest species of catfish found in the United States, and you can catch them in almost every state. They are a hardy fish. They tolerate poor quality water. They're fun to catch and they're good to eat. How big do they get? Well, the current world record was caught in 1964 by W.H. Watley on the Santee Cooper Lakes in South Carolina, and that fish tipped the scale at 58 pounds. In case you're not good at math, that world record for channel catfish has stood for almost 60 years. Now, while channel catfish can be caught and found almost anywhere in the country, only 4 states have surpassed the 50-pound mark for a state record channel catfish. Another interesting thing about this fish is they look very similar to their bigger cousin, the largest catfish in America, the blue catfish. Now, while the world record for a channel catfish is a whopping 58 pounds, the world record for a blue catfish more than doubles that at 143 pounds. Now, telling the difference between juvenile blue catfish and channel catfish is fairly easy, but as these fish get bigger and older, it can be tough to tell them apart. To make matters worse, they inhabit the same waters, and in a moment you'll understand how that may have contributed to this controversy. With the changes in body shape and body color and body characteristics, it really takes an expert to distinguish the difference between the two fish, especially when they're in the 20 to 50 pound range. And sometimes even the experts are fooled. This brings us back to the new state record channel catfish from North Carolina. Now, when the pictures of this new record channel catfish from North Carolina were first released online in social media, there was a lot of skepticism as to whether or not it was actually a channel catfish. Now, many people, myself included, took one look at the anal fin on this catfish and thought, that's a blue cat. You see, one of the easiest ways to distinguish the difference between a blue catfish and the channel catfish is the shape of the anal fin. The shape of the anal fin on a channel catfish has a rounded outer edge, while the shape of the anal fin on a blue catfish is flat on the outer edge. That's how you tell a blue cat from a channel cat. See that outer edge, how flat it is? Channel cat's real rounded. Good example there. Now, to further help distinguish between the two species of fish, you actually count the rays, which are the little things that look like little bones in that anal fin. A blue catfish will have 30 or more of these rays in its anal fin, while a channel catfish will have 24 to 29. Now, after Justin Hall caught his catfish, he went to great lengths to keep it alive so that he could release it alive after it was weighed by biologists from the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. They got a good weight on the fish, they examined the anal fin, they got a count of 27 rays, so they felt sure it was a channel catfish. So why all the controversy? Well, back up a few years, let's go a little bit further south to Texas and examine what happened there with a trophy catfish that they too thought was a channel catfish. Angler Josh Garcia was fishing with Michael and Terry Littlejohn's Lake Tawakoni Guide Service when he caught and landed what they believed to be a 47-pound channel catfish and a new Texas state record. The fish was dark in color, like both species can get, and the body shape exhibited traits of both species, as many times happens with mature fish. Now, just like the North Carolina catfish, the anal fin ray count was that of a channel catfish, but it exhibited the shape of a blue catfish. You see, while extremely rare, channel catfish and blue catfish can cross and create a hybrid. So it's possible you can have a catfish that appears to be a channel catfish based on the ray count, but it can have the anal fin shape of a blue catfish and be neither species. I know this is complicated, but the biologists in Texas felt the same way, so they did a DNA sampling to find out the truth. Well, you guessed it. After sampling the DNA from the fish, it turns out this catfish was a hybrid. In other words, it was a mix between a blue catfish and a channel catfish, and that makes it ineligible for either state record. Now back to North Carolina. Remember that state record I told you about several years ago that was another point of controversy? Well, for decades, the North Carolina state record channel catfish was misidentified and a flathead catfish occupied that spot. It wasn't until the picture surfaced many years later that yes, a flathead catfish had occupied the spot for the largest channel catfish for more than a decade. After these pictures surfaced of this fish, the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission pulled the record and put the previous fish that was the record before that in its place as the state record. Now, in all fairness to the biologists from the Wildlife Resources Commission in North Carolina, they were not the ones who made the determination on this fish, this flathead, being a state record. When this took place, the Travel and Tourism Bureau for North Carolina was actually keeping the records. Now, the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission maintains those records. So with that little nugget of information under your hat, fast forward to now and the current new state record channel catfish. In this situation, no DNA testing was done, so we will never know if this fish was a hybrid or not. Now, in all fairness to the biologists from the Wildlife Commission, generally speaking, DNA testing doesn't need to be done. But in today's modern world, with fish being transported and moved by anglers into waters they are not native to, we are seeing more and more hybrid versions of different species of fish taking place. DNA testing is not a simple process, and until recently, many states did not have a lab in place to do DNA testing. As for Justin Hall's fish, it will stand as the new channel catfish record for North Carolina. Now, one interesting side note here at the end that we may have to come back and revisit. You see, his fish was released alive back into the pond that it was caught out of. So there's a chance that sometime down the road, that fish could be caught again, maybe a couple of pounds bigger, and weighed again for a state record. But this time, I guarantee you, DNA testing will be done.